Here's a fun one for you, really beaut way of colouring up a piece of fabric really quickly. I'm going to use a method called a 5-finger foam brush. However, this method is not suitable for your lightweight fabrics. We're going to use this one for our medium to heavyweight fabrics. So anything through from your homespuns through to your really heavyweight fabrics. I want to actually use the 3 primary colours in the sample I'm going to do here and explain to you how to use yellow as we go. Yellow does everything that all the other colours do, but because of the nature of it, it is not as visible, so I'm going to show you how to increase its visibility when you're working with yellow. The method of applying the colours for a 5-finger foam brush is to simply draw the colours onto your fabric. My fabric is wet, you can see those colours are already moving. Definitely work on wet fabric for this one. Doing stripes because it's quick and easy, but you can do patterns if you wish. As I put on my extra colours, I'm leaving a little bit of distance between my stripes, and already you can see those colours bleeding through the wet fabric. Note that I am drawing, not pouring the colours into place. I could have used a real foam brush for this. However, 3 colours, 3 foam brushes to wash, or however many colours I was using. So, being a quick and easy lazy person, I'm going to use my 5-finger foam brush, and in just a jiffy you'll see how that works. There we go. On go my gloves. Here is my 5-finger foam brush. I'm now going to work those colours together, if I can find the thumb on this. Just using my fingers to move the colours and blend them. What I'm getting rid of here is the fabric colour. If there's no colour there, there's nothing for the technique to work on. So working my reds and blues together for starters, only so I don't have to clean my gloves. If I were then to put that colour down there onto a lighter one, oops, no worries, we can just rub it out. However, if I dry off my gloves between colours, that stain on my gloves will not come off onto the subsequent colours that I work on. Now, to increase the visibility of my yellow, I'm going to pull a little bit of the colour on either side of it into it. It just works. With liquid radiance, that's what you need to do. And then when I work the blue and yellow, I'll pull a little bit of blue down into it as well. So, by the magic of video, we now have all our colours evenly worked across that fabric. That is no fabric colour showing. And during the colouring process, I've actually pulled a little bit of colour around the edges onto the plastic of my board. I'm going to start one of these yummy things called an all-day mop-up, because that colour is way too good to waste. Not lots there yet, but you wait and see. Okay, as I've been working, if there's a bit of colour out around the edges, it also means that there could be a little bit of excess across the surface, and we know that excess is the enemy. So let's take a piece of silk again, or it could be a piece of cotton. And this time, as I mop up, I'm being a little bit systematic. Everywhere I put my finger down, I will actually form a little circle of colour, and I can call that a tortoiseshell mop-up. However, let's do it again and do a double blot. Get a really yummy bit of fabric happening. Look at that. How's that? From that blot up, I've actually put a little bit of smudged colour there, which we saw before. We can rub out. Good to know. Doesn't really show up on the darker colours, but it does show up on the yellow.
The concept for the colours is ours, so I think it's okay to make up the names for our techniques as well. With our 5-finger foam brush, it really is a simple way of getting your colours right where you want them on your fabric. We're going to wet our fabrics, heavier weight fabrics rather than lightweight. It's too sloppy on lightweight fabric. We're going to put it on the board, we're going to apply the colour, and definitely using rubber gloves, especially if you have acrylic nails, we're going to smooth out and blend those colours across the fabric. Really important to blot out the excess colour with dry, absorbent fabric, something like silk or cotton lawn. And from there, you're ready to create your patterns. There are many different ways we can now handle that fabric to establish different looks, different patterns, and you will see all our ideas for designing the fabrics will be covered in the following topics.
Now I'm going to form a pattern that gives us those amazing crystalline scrunches that you can see on the sample pieces. To make life a little bit easier, I'll just pull that fabric down towards me, and here comes my pattern forming. We know that what's up off the plastic is going to go dark, and what's down against the plastic will go light. This time though, I'm forming tiny scrunches, a bit like ants crawling up my fabric here with my fingers. At the same time, keeping that fabric as flat against the board as I can. I'm not lifting it up and pushing it under. I'm just pulling it in against itself and moving my whole hand up the fabric, leaving a trail of wet colour, which of course we can mop up. These earthy, murky bits really do make the most beautiful background pieces for other techniques happening over them. Back to my real one. If I leave my fabric like that, I'm still not going to achieve the crystalline effect that we're aiming for. So my next step is to lean on that fabric, and we call this one air exclusion. What I'm doing is squishing out or excluding the air from all those little pockets that I've just formed. I don't mind that it gets a little bit grotty over the top, because that also becomes part of my pattern, and in that state I will leave it and mop up, of course, the excess from my gloves as part of my mop up piece. About 24 hours later, we're ready to open up a piece of air exclusion. It's good to ease it off the board gently, because if there's any dampness underneath, you really do need to leave it until you can pick it up in one heap. Okay, so that came off nice and easily, and we open it up. This is the fun bit. Seeing what you've created. Only what's at the surface has become dark, while everything that's enclosed has formed our patterns. And even though you can see it reasonably well now, the fun is in ironing it so that you can really see those patterns revealed.
The best fabric to use for this air exclusion technique is 100% cotton, because we need something that is going to hold its creases when we lean on it after scrunching it. So colour it up, scrunch it up, lean on it, try to make your surface a bit murky so that you get lovely contrast between your upper layer and your inner layers when it's dry, and then leave it to dry completely. That's the hard bit, because you will be tempted to have a peek. Just leave it alone, and it may take 24 hours to dry depending on the weather, but believe me, the results are worth it. Because I demonstrated in red, yellow and blue in my samples, don't think that you have to use those colours too. Branch out, use whatever colours you need appropriate for your project. Try other scrunches as well. Here we have a pleated fabric, just a normal 1, 2, 3 pleat. And when that is lent on, you get the 3 dimensions of your outer, intermediate and inner layers getting a wonderful effect. And you'll also see in these pictures what happens if you don't lean on it. You just don't get those crisp edges, but there's nothing wrong with that fabric either. Have fun with this one, see what you can create.